Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for today, and we're thankful for this opportunity to discuss with Jared and Seth and all of the great things that are coming to our minds and hearts. And we're grateful for the great men and women that have lived before us. And we ask thee to please help us to stand on their shoulders and to emulate the good things that they did, and to learn about how to live and how not to live. We ask thee to please bless us with a spirit, that our discussion will be very enlightening and helpful to help all three of us become the best that we can be. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. My cute little phone needs to be turned off, as you could hear. Did you hear that noise in the prayer? Sorry. Like, I'll put it on airplane mode. Whoa. So what did you think of book 8?
It was good. Yeah, I mean,
Same
just-
old, same old.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was a little different though. I mean, now we have rebellious gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That- Go ahead, Seth.
No, it's crazy.
I know.
Yes. So one of the questions on the discussion notes, and I'll just highlight it, is what aspects have you noticed about the gods? And we'll talk about that today. But for right now, I just wanted to tune you into this really quickly for the future. Share my screen. Where is it? Okay. I know that you're all on here, but I just wanted to. So as we're going, it looks like we're going to be finishing the Iliad the first week of March. Okay. So that's 1 month from now. If we're doing 4 books a week, which it seems like we can do this, seems like it. It'll be different with the Odyssey because the books are longer, it seems like, but there are only 12 books in the Odyssey, but they're longer. They're like 35 pages long. And these have been 15, maybe 20, but usually around 15. So anyway, we'll finish the first week of March. So I want you to begin to purchase 2 things. This right here, the Agamemnon, which is actually, it's the Oresteia. Right there, Oresteia. And so it has Agamemnon, the libation bearers, and the Eumenides, all 3 of those. We'll read all 3, by the way. Did you see that? We'll read all 3. Oh my gosh.
How do you spell it?
So it's right there on the, let me write this better. The Oresteia. Okay, a play by Aeschylus.
Okay.
Hold on, I just wanted to copy this. It's just right there. I just want to make sure that I put in the link on the whole thing. Okay. And also, if you could buy the Odyssey, there's the link there too. And both of these works are translated by Robert Fagles, who is obviously a better translator than Samuel Butler, as you know. So begin to purchase those and get them in so that you have them ready by the 1st of March. We'll of course not start reading the Odyssey probably until the next month. But we've got 3 plays that we'll probably read 1 play per week. So that'll take 3 weeks, and then we'll start the Odyssey. Okay, and then does anybody have, maybe I should just show you these assignments. So I put them up. This one's due today. It was due by 8 this morning. Well, 7:59. And then next, is it Monday night? Is it February 8th Monday night? Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So by Monday night, if you could, that gives you all the rest of the day, today, tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, to read 3 more books. And then you will just, you're going to say, what themes do you see? List 3 to 3 to 5 or more, list a principle that goes with each theme. So here's an example. A theme is hospitality, and a principle is, let's think, a generous person lifts not only others, but himself as well. So if you know that you're going to be generous, you're not only lifting that other person, but you're also lifting yourself. So that can be a principle. So if you can list themes, like maybe you'll see fate, maybe you'll see anger, that's a theme, then obviously the principle about that anger is usually a principle it's a principle to live by that doesn't allow you to get anger. Does that make sense? So principles usually should be good, purposeful principles, not if a principle that will get you to be angry. You don't want to do that. But it is a theme. Anger is a theme. So you kind of have to decide, okay, if my theme is a good thing, then of course it's easy to come up with a good principle. If my theme is actually a really corrupt thing, then my principle needs to get me to a point where I'm not going to get to that corrupt place. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So that's what's due on Monday. And then I have only done the next Thursday ones, looks like here. I have still yet to add some Monday ones, but I'm just kind of looking to see what I want to write about because I have to kind of look at those things. So for sure, those will be up. And probably every Thursday will be one of those things where you are actually an aha moment that you just found, and a favorite quote, and then the 5 types of questions. And then of course there is a little funny little presentation that I made a while ago that you can watch, but I tell you to watch it at a faster speed because I talk so slowly in it, and you just want to get through it. So, okay, any questions on that? Nope. Okay, sounds good. So then let's stop sharing. Let's take you, why don't you share first? Because I want to get to hear what you people came up with. And then if we have some time, we'll go into some of the questions that I put up on the board. So take us to somewhere you want to go. Whether it's a quote, whether it's your epiphany, whether you had a question about something. Seth is looking at his paper right now.
(109/166).
Is that's not a page number.
Yes, it
That's
is.
page
109 and then page 166.
But 109 gets us back into book 2.
Wait.
So my book 8 is page 231 is when it starts. Maybe it's line number.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I messed up on that. Never mind. Sorry.
Is it line number?
No, I just messed up on it. I'm not sure what happened there. I just messed
Oh,
up on it.
okay.
One cool thing I liked, or I just thought was interesting, was how I think it was Hector, they said, was trying to burn their ships. And that was kind of cool, especially in the video I watched before I read it. Kind of talked about how like that's kind of their symbol of escape, and that was kind of a comfort to them. And so I don't know, I just thought it was kind of cool how it was just a symbol of comfort and escape from.
When they were burning the ships?
I'm just saying, whenever, I think it was Diomedes and all those people that went back to the ships.
Mm-hmm.
So
that it was a comfort to be back to the ships.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I want to see it. So do you know where that is?
I can find it.
This is why it's so awesome to read with other people, because each of us pick up other things that no one else did, or maybe they did, but in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look for that while you're doing that, maybe we can go to Seth. Do you want to share something? Did you find out where you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here, but I totally messed up with I put page numbers from like way back there. But the one that I wanted to share for one of my quotes, I mean my epiphanies, sorry, was page 237, line 2, what is that, 224 maybe?
Okay.
It's like that paragraph right under 220.
Yeah. So he gloried, that one.
Yeah. And I just
Yeah.
thought, I don't know, it was just like kind of an aha, because I was like, I never thought that gods could like get that mad and like want to defy their other god. And then, and Hera and
There you go. You're muted. Sorry.
muted.
So sorry, but I keep getting kicked out.
Oh.
Did you notice
you
this?
you were frozen for a while. I'm like, wait. And then it said, Jared Cook is now the host. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, so what I heard what you were saying right before I got kicked out, that you didn't know why the gods would fight so much. Is that right? Is that what
Well,
you were
that's the
saying?
thing. Like our God, we know that gets mad at his children, and we know that he's not all just this graceful God. But it's interesting to see that there, when Poseidon checks her anger, and other times when Hera and Athena try to defy Zeus, and they're about to do it, and then Zeus, tells them not to, or whatever. And it's like, it was interesting because I've never thought, we don't think of our God as a defiant sort of God, but they do. It's just like a different perspective on gods, and it was really an epiphany. It was really weird to think about, I guess.
It astonished you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think we need to stop and just talk about these aspects of the gods right now. So what would you say? So here we are on the discussion note page. I put some numbers up. What aspects are you noticing about the gods? Let's just write. How would you describe what you just said to me? Like in a brief little phrase.
They are, one aspect would be defiant.
Defiant. There we go. Yes. Excellent. What else? They fight with one another.
Yeah,
You said that.
Yes.
Okay. What other things come to your mind? Do they play favorites?
Yes.
They do. Okay. We have got to talk right now a little bit about a movie that you may not have watched, but I hope you have. And it's Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments. Has anybody seen that?
Yes.
Okay, you have. Jared, it is so old. I think it came out maybe when I was a little girl, and I'm 54. It's
I think it came out in the 60s, maybe 65. I don't know.
Yeah, and I was born in 66. So it is so old, but there's a scene where, okay, the 10 Commandments is the story of what? Moses, right?
Right.
And so there's this scene, see if you remember this, Seth, where Moses is trying to say, let the Israelites go, or the Hebrew God's going to bring you plagues.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what he says. And probably I don't remember because I didn't watch it in preparation for this class because I didn't know that's where we were going to go, but it's just something that came to my mind. But anyway, the Pharaoh has so much confidence in his God. And here's the reason why. They knew that their gods would care for them in their country, that their gods were specific to their country. Okay, this is the Egyptian gods, and they're very similar to the Greek gods and the Roman gods, that they were specific to that country, and that's where their favorites were. Okay, but Moses says something like, basically, my God is a traveling God. He travels with the Jews, so he will be with them wherever they are. And that's a new thing to Pharaoh. He had never heard that, and he doesn't believe it because he knows that his gods are like the ones we're studying, that they play favorites. Well, as we know, those 10 plagues come, and what happens? I mean, what are some things that happen?
When he brings the things back from the mountain, then they're all worshiping idols and stuff.
Yes, but that's after. That's after. So when they're still in Egypt in bondage, and he's just told Pharaoh that his God, that the Hebrew God follows his people.
Oh, yeah.
And then all these plagues happen. And finally, Pharaoh lets them go because he's recognizing the Hebrew God loves his people, and he will follow his people anywhere they go. That was weird to him because he thought that his God would be strong in his land and the Hebrew God would not be strong in his land because it's his land. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird way that he would think that, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But now you see Zeus really is strong in the Trojan land because Zeus loves the Trojans and Hera loves the Achaeans.
Mhm.
So interesting. So it's really kind of good to think about our God in this, that he doesn't, well, does our God play favorites?
I mean, not really.
Okay.
Not so much that he has a war. Not really. I don't think so. I mean, he has certain people that he chooses to do his work, like Joseph Smith and stuff,
Mhm.
to do important things for him. But I don't think that's necessarily playing favorites. But yeah, I don't think he does.
Somebody is looking for a book right now they have to have for the MDT class. Hold on. I just have to send it to him.
Are y'all doing an MDT class up there?
Online. Yeah, online. So there we go. Send. Okay, just sent it to him. Okay, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was listening to you, Seth, and I meant to comment on that. But he may, but here's what I'm thinking. Well, maybe Seth, did you want to agree with him or disagree with Jared?
Could you recap what you were saying, Jared?
Yeah, there you go.
I was just saying, yeah, I don't think he does play favorites. I just think he chooses people to do his work, but he doesn't really do favorites.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, he gives everybody a chance. Everybody has the light of Christ. and people think that he favors people like Fred Rogers, or that's for example that I thought of, because he's really famous and he believed in God. So obviously, if we're not famous and we're not really rich and we believe in God, then he must. But that was his work, and we all have a very big work if we'll let God give it to us, and that's what Fred Rogers let God do. So yeah, I totally agree. I don't think he plays favorites. I think he helps those that want help.
Mhm. Yes, I agree with that. So those who want the help are the ones that get to know God, and God knows them. And so it may look like those are the favorites, right? But in reality, he loves each and every one of us, and he's trying to give us an answer through the prophet right now. We need to all love each other. We need to all be united, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's a big difference. And I think it's really important to know the difference between our God and the Greek gods. And where did you see fate? Now that we're talking about gods, did you see anything about fate in book 8? By any chance?
Mm.
And it may not be something that you're aware of yet, but I have a couple of pages I want you to go to. I'm just trying to find them. Okay. So let's go to page 245. 245 and 247. So second paragraph on 245. Zeus has just asked Iris to go check things out. Well, let's read that whole paragraph. Who wants to read it? It's just that short, like 9-line paragraph. Somebody want to read that?
Is
Go
that
ahead.
490?
Yeah, like so 488.
Like-
88. Yeah.
Okay. And Iris, racing the wind, went veering past, and Hera turned to Pallas, calling off the conflict. Enough, daughter of Zeus, whose shield is thunder, I cannot let us battle the father any longer, not for mortal men. Men, let one of them die, another live, however their luck may run. Let Zeus decide the fates of the men of Troy and men of Argos both, to his deathless heart's content. That is only right.
So who's supposed to decide who's going to die?
Zeus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So does that look like agency to you?
No.
No, it doesn't.
Although I
So-
guess we don't really have agency over when we die. But I don't know.
Do we or don't we?
I guess we kind of do, but we don't really have agency if like some guy comes and kills us. But
True.
yeah, we can have the choice to like eat healthy and stuff like that.
We also have a choice not to speed, which I have a problem with. That's one thing that I don't yet obey. But we also have a choice to not walk on a railroad track.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, and there's a lot of suicides that happens. That's a decision that we make. So there are a lot of ways we can decide whether to live or die. But for the most part, you're right. I mean, there's so many of us just die of old age, and we don't know when that is, but
Yeah.
and you know what? We don't decide whose family we are going to go to either. Because if we did decide that, then that would mean that there was a soulmate. Like that would mean your mom and your dad are the only ones that could have married each other. And God does not decree soulmates. You can basically marry anybody. And as long as you're living the principles and doctrines of the gospel, you can overcome any really big hardship. So we did not decide who we were going to come to or where we were going to come to. God decided that, but everything else, whether we're going to fight with somebody or we're going to be kind to somebody or whether we're going to study this or study that, that's all of our decision.
That's interesting.
So when it says, let Zeus decide the fates of the men of Troy, this is called fate. And what did you remember what fate was?
Oh yeah, we looked it up. It was like pre-decided, or however you'd say that, like already decided events or whatever.
Oh yeah, fate is another word for destiny, which is a predetermined course of events, basically.
Yeah. So it's like somebody's already decided, Seth, that you at the end of January, you were going to take this class with me. That was already decided. The gods knew. They decided for you. Is that how it is? No. Maybe they knew you were going to decide that, but you had to decide it, right? Both of you. And Jared, you're in this speech and debate, and congratulations on that. That's awesome. Are you also, Seth? No? So obviously, Jared, you chose to get into this, either that or you were forced by your parents.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes that's why we live with our parents until we're 18, because sometimes they have to help us. So in families, the fate reigns, right? Parents make their children decide for them. In many ways, that may be true. But really, fate for the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians was that the gods decided for you. Where's another example that maybe you can see fate?
Like in the book or in our lives?
Both. Let's bring up both. In the book, in your lives.
Oh, let's see.
Okay. What about page 233? So this is at the very beginning of book 8. Seth, how would you like to read that last paragraph? So the one that has 80, line 80 in it. Will you read that one? And let's see if fate is playing out here. And maybe it's not, maybe it is. Will you read that one?
Yes. As long as morning rose and the blessed day grew stronger, the weapons hurtled side to side, and men kept falling. But once the sun stood striding at high noon, the father Zeus held out his sacred golden scales, and in them he placed two fates of death that lays men low, one for the Trojan horsemen, one for the Argives armed in bronze. And gripping the beam mid half, the father raised it high, and down went Achaean day of doom. Achaea's fate, setting down on the earth that feeds us all, as the fate of Troy went lifting towards the sky. And Zeus let loose a huge crash of thunder from Idia, hurling his bolts in a flash against the Achaean armies. The men looked on in horror. White terror seized them all.
Okay. What did you see there? Is there any fate in there?
Says it like 5 times.
It says it 5 times. Yeah, what's happening?
So
He's deciding who will die.
Yeah, like what are his sacred golden scales? Oh
Okay.
wait, no, I watched the video on it. It's literally a scale. I
It's a
watched the
scale.
video. I just remember
Yeah.
he
So
weighed the skates. Yeah.
he's holding it high, but it's basically him tipping the scale in favor of the Trojans. It doesn't exactly say that, but he's basically doing that because the father raised it high and down went Achaea's day of doom. Okay.
Mm.
And so then immediately Zeus sends bolts against the Achaeans. So now he's going to go again. He's going to send these bolts of what? Thunder and lightning against them, so that of course they won't win. So it's like it's not their decision anymore. It's Zeus. He's deciding for them. Now, do we ever see anything like that in our day? Maybe. What do you think?
Maybe that's what some people, power seekers, are trying to do, like control everybody. Maybe.
That could be, that's interesting. But I'm actually talking about God too, though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever see thunderbolts and lightning and earthquakes and things like that happening?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we do. We do. We even had a big earthquake here in Utah last year about this time. Well, maybe in a year
The
ago.
one where Moroni dropped his trumpet or whatever.
There you go. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yes. So
what time is
Mic drop.
but God will do this on all people, the good and the wicked, right? It's not like he's choosing. But go to Doctrine. I don't know if you have scriptures with you. Doctrine and Covenants 88, or should I share my screen? Now let me just find it. Okay, this is one of my favorite scriptures. By the way, the Greeks used, they tried to understand weather and the weather patterns, and they usually gave it to, they wrote stories that described what was going on in their lives. And so maybe they did see thunderbolts coming where the Achaeans were, and maybe they're just saying that Zeus did this. Okay, that's kind of how they saw it. But if you go to Doctrine and Covenants 88, one of my favorite scriptures, but it's way back here. These are my favorite scriptures right there. So he's saying, I've sent you out to testify and warn the people. Okay. And for many days, the earth is going to tremble and reel to and fro as a drunken man. The sun shall hide his face. All these things are going to happen with the stars. And then it says, after your testimony cometh wrath and indignation upon the people. After your testimony cometh wrath and indignation upon the people. That's kind of where we are right now. Then it says, for after your testimony cometh the testimony of earthquakes. The testimony of earthquakes. Did you see that? That like an earthquake can be a testimony of God. And that shall cause groanings in the midst of her, and men shall fall upon the ground and shall not be able to stand. And also cometh the testimony of what? Can you see that?
The voice of thunderings.
Yeah, the voice of thunderings. And what else?
And the voice of
lightning, tempests.
Tempests.
Yeah.
Voice of waves of the sea heaving themselves beyond their bounds.
What's that?
Tsunamis
and
hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember it either.
And it's okay. And then all things are going to be in commotion, right? And hearts men's hearts are going to fail them. And that's kind of where we are right now. But so even in the Doctrine and Covenants, our God is saying, my testimony is coming. I'm going to testify of my power. So how is that like what's going on with the Greeks? Or how is it different?
Yeah, I guess I kind of think of it as God allows there to be thunderings. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't think like God really controls the weather. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe it's just like us, like he knows it will happen, but he doesn't control it. Or maybe he does, I don't know. But yeah, I guess it was kind of like the book because I don't know, God was saying he would send or allow thunder and lightning, just how Zeus is doing right now. So
Okay. What do you think, Seth?
I think it's interesting because there's a lot more hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff like that now than there have been in the past. And it kind of makes me hopeful for the second coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I
please.
want it to come already. But
Yeah.
I think he does control. I think he is warning in a way, saying, I told you this would happen, and you guys are getting this wicked, so he kind of made a promise. If you get this wicked, here's what I'm gonna do. You know, we're not. In this case, we should break that promise and try to be as good as It's like I don't know. It's
Yeah. There's scriptures in the Doctrine and Covenants and in Isaiah that talks about if we fast and if we keep the Sabbath day holy, there are special blessings that have to do with weather that will protect our crops, that will let them grow, they'll let them flourish. We will have rain in due season. We will have, so God does control the weather, we know from those scriptures, because he's saying, if you keep the Sabbath day holy, I'm gonna, you're not gonna have these droughts and famines. You're gonna get the weather that is needed to grow your food. And so I was just looking it up. I thought it was in chapter 58 of Isaiah. I think it's somewhere in the 40s in Doctrine and Covenants, but we're going to learn about that and come follow me, I'm sure. But yeah, he does control the weather, but also he doesn't. There's probably things that happen. We've seen a lot of what you said, Seth.
yeah,
But
and that's something that a lot of people say is like, if God's so loving, why does he give children cancer? Why does he do this? And I'm like, that's just a bunch of baloney. Like, and it's so, sometimes it's kind of annoying because I'm like, why can't you just see how, like, I've been told this my whole life, so that's probably why, but like, if everything was easy, like, you wouldn't learn. Like, we're here to be tested, and that's probably what some people don't know, but we're here to be tested. So that's,
failing. Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
So do you think there are certain laws that are that kind of control whether we get cancer or not, that if we follow them? Do you think?
I don't know. I guess like I think God just allows it to happen. Like,
Yeah, I think so too.
It's their personal trial.
Mhm.
and maybe
They-
God
they
knew
don't-
they would, and then he gave them certain strengths like patience and
Yeah.
so.
I mean, they might not ever go bankrupt like someone else might, but their
Yeah.
child's cancer, or they might not lose their wife and family, or something. But we all have different trials, and that is well, I mean, I know someone right now that just got, I think she's got diagnosed with cancer. But she's been living health principles like her entire life.
hmm
Like she has tried to be, especially her adult life, she's been trying to, and she's been battling some health problems, but she's been very healthy, and she's so health doesn't necessarily stop cancer. So like what principle does? It's like It's just I think some of those things like that are just a trial to test your faith, like we have
Yes.
other trials in our lives.
Hmm.
Yes, and there is a wonderful scripture in Moses, and I can't remember exactly where it is, or maybe it's in Abraham, in the Pearl of Great Price. It is in Abraham. He talks about, let me see if I can just find it. Moses is first and then Abraham. It talks about exactly what you're saying. Let's see. Okay, so Abraham 3:25, and we will prove them herewith. That's us. We will prove all the children of God herewith to see if they will do all things whatsoever the Lord their God shall command them. We're going to be proven, right? We are going to have tests and trials, and we will be proved whether we love God or not in all the things that we do. And so how can you take away this idea? What are you going to take away from this discussion? Here we're seeing how the Greeks understand gods. You understand God a different way. What is your takeaway this week? Do you think?
I guess probably no matter what happens in our life or what happens to us, God loves everyone the same. He still loves us, and it's just to test our faith, to test our faith in God, and to test us, because that's why we're here, is for tests. So even though we have hard things happen, God still loves us.
Yeah. Seth, what about you?
I feel like God isn't always what we make him out to be. And we can definitely see those with the Greek gods. We think the Greek gods are supposed to be perfect and all, but they fight and they're defiant and they're headstrong and God is not always this magnificent, graceful type being. He's wrathful. He gets angry when you do stupid stuff. Just like any parent, and I know my parents get angry when I do stupid stuff or my siblings do stupid stuff. They're angry. They're like, we taught you better than this. Why don't you just. And I feel like, I don't know, that's just one of the biggest takeaways is like God is not so simple. And I don't think he's defiant and stuff like these gods are,
Good. That's a good thing to know that.
Yeah. But I feel like even if he has better traits than these gods might have, it just shows how intricate gods can be and how intricate our God. It's not black and white. It's not he's super nice. It's not he's super nice or he's super mean. It's like I lots of times when I was younger, I would ask my mom, like, is this guy a good guy? And as I get older, I'm like, I can ask that about Hitler. And she will say no. Even though he did have some good stuff in him. But he was but lots of people today, Fred Rogers, my mom would say, yes, he was a great guy. But lots of people, just normal people that they have way more intricate
Complexity.
Yes, and that just if we're made like our Father in heaven and we're so complex, then he's got to be freaking complex too. And he has to have, I don't know, it's interesting to think about our God is not always what we think that he is.
Okay. Yeah. So you're starting to open your mind to the complexity of our God.
Yeah.
And these gods that are more like humans than they are gods, right?
Yeah, these gods really confuse me.
Yeah.
Zeus is supposed to be this great guy and this but then he's like a jerk all the time. I'm like, what is Zeus? I'm like,
Hey.
how do these guys?
Okay, so this
Ah.
gets us to this question, and I know we're going over. Jared, did you have something to say before I say what I was going to say?
No, I was just agreeing. I thought that's a great point. I think that's amazing, but yeah.
Okay, so where do we get our understanding of who we are? Who gives that to us?
God.
You sound kind of hesitant with that. Do you really mean it?
He gives us our purpose, but you're saying our knowledge of our purpose?
Yeah, and what's our true nature? That's what I'm talking about. Where do we get, how do we understand our true nature? Like, who are we?
From yeah, from God.
We
We-
get it from God, but what is your true nature, Seth? What are you? Who are you? What and who?
I'm a son of God. I'm a
Son of God. That's your true nature, right? So you are literally a spirit son of God. And you can become his son through the atonement of Jesus Christ. So that there's two ways to become the son. One, you just automatically are his spirit child, right? That's easy. Then in the Book of Mormon, it tells us how we can become his son and daughter by participating through the atonement of Jesus Christ. That's our true nature. So we know we're a son of God. We can become a spiritual son of God, meaning through repentance, through faith in Jesus Christ, and through this changing of our nature to become like him, right? And so because of that, we see God as the thing that we want to emulate. We want to be like
Yes.
him. Now, go to the Greeks, go across the sea, go way over to Troy right now, and you see children of God, because they're spiritual children of God, but do they know their true nature? Are you sure?
Well, they
No,
believe
you're right. They don't know. I was just bugging you. Go ahead, Jared.
they don't know that they're like, they don't know like our God, like the real God. They just believe in all these different ones and blame certain circumstances and make up new gods. And so
Yeah.
thing. Jared, that's actually a really interesting point. They blame their circumstances.
yeah.
Yes.
We were reading in MDT, not man's search for meaning. As a man thinketh.
Right.
You create your circumstances. You don't blame it. And what Julie said, we have a God that we want to emulate. You know, he is what we want to be. We can become gods. We want that. And he is such a good, even with his wrath, he's such a good person. I don't want to be like Zeus. I just don't. Based on what he's done so far, and Athena and Hera just being defiant and just not like just totally disregarding what their father and husband said. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be this defiant, headstrong person, you know, and God truly is light and goodness with wrath because we're built like him and we have wrath and we get angry. But that doesn't make him like, I don't know. There's a difference between him and Zeus.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly how to explain it, but that's a good way to put it. We want to emulate God, but we don't want to emulate Zeus.
No. And I think you're coming to some really good conclusions, but I think this discussion is going to continue as you think about these things. Think about your true nature, think about God's true nature, think about the knowledge or the lack of knowledge that the Greeks had about God and about themselves. And as you go in the next 3 books, we're going to go 9, 10, 11 by Tuesday morning, right?
Mm.
Think about this relationship. What can you learn? You know, and I think the assignment is even going to be themes. So you're going to be looking for themes and you're going to be looking for principles, but one of those might be fate. You might want to really study this and understand it a little bit. Fate is when a God actually takes your agency away and he decides for you, right? That's not how the dictionaries say it, but that's basically what's happening. I want you to look for that, because I think that's going to help us with our discussion next Tuesday. And I'm hoping we're going to be talking about fate for months as we read this Greek literature. I think it's really important that we understand. And the reason why we want to understand is because we are living in a world that people, they believe in fate, that you don't take responsibility for yourself. Somebody else's, your circumstances decide for you. God or whatever, a supreme being decides for you. So we need to know this so that we can deal with other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. This is exciting. This is really exciting. So
For our EQQ due on Thursday, do you want us to do it from book 9 to book 12 or just about book 12?
no, it can be from, let's see, for due the February 11th, it says from books 9 through 12.
Okay.
In preparation for class, create a document with the following from books 9 through 12.
And then I took this one to be from book, it says in it from
I
book
said 1 through 8.
8.
Yeah.
So I mean I have a couple of questions that kind of it relates to the entire thing, but
Good.
the quote and the stuff is from 8. But then, like one of the questions I think is like, why did the Achaeans? Is it wrong for the Achaeans to like? What principle are the Achaeans breaking when they take women home after they win a battle or what? You know, like, so that kind of you see it. Helen,
Awesome.
they're about to bring Helen back, but then Paris is like, no. So like that kind of relates to it, but
That's good. So we didn't use any of those questions today, but those are going to start to develop our discussions for Thursdays. Those assignments that you write, they're going to develop our discussion. And we're just barely starting to learn what we need to do, and that's okay. So, okay, great.
Monday we'll set up Tuesday, and then EQQ will set up Thursday.
Yeah. And usually the other assignment's going to be themes or character or something like that. Sometimes you'll write a paragraph, sometimes you won't. It'll be like that. So,
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Have a great week. And well, yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.
See ya.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you. Bye-bye.